see here is what you get with the first version of Unreal Engine 4. There's no plugins, there's no assets. I made a few blueprints myself, and I made my own radial explosion. I'll show you everything. It doesn't run very well on my laptop because I added way too many shaders and particle effects in it. So it runs really nice on my desktop, but I pretty much had to drop down all the settings on here, and we're still getting like 24 frames. So I'm going to go ahead and try to play through it, even though it's really laggy, because I have some matinee moments in it, and I have a timer on a pretty big explosion. So hopefully I can make it there. I might have to restart the game like for like a bunch, if I can make these platform jumps. So bear with me on it. I added in some different music than the ones they give you. I had put in some audio cues and stuff too. So you can see right here, I just made a tunnel here, and we did particle effects on these fires, and I have platforms here too. Jump too on the character. So you can see the particle effects I added in here. You'll see more on the top.
Steer straight down first.
I will.
But pattern on the block.
In here, yeah, I did all this design here, the particle effects, the physics. Holy crap, that's lagging.
So this is Unreal Engine?
Yeah, this is Unreal Engine, so there's actually, the sun is dynamic right now, and it flies around the Earth, and it changes the actual lighting here. So before I had particles falling down, but right here actually this change used to be like flickering lights. And then I made some kind of matinee here with some kind of alien space craft and stuff. And it has the snow sounds, and all these platforms are running on matinees, film strips. And then I made a little cutscene too, so you can do cinematic cutscenes in it. And then I put SoDA in there for the explosion, physics effects. So that's that. I thought I'd go over a little bit everything I'd made, so because everybody's been asking a lot of questions. So I did all the geometry myself. I did the particle effects here on the fire. If we want to go in and look at one real quick, I can grab onto it. So yeah, you can change everything on there, but you can always go into the blueprint. And what I did was I went into the blueprint on the fire. And then we look at the components. You can pretty much set everything on here, the audio, everything. So what I did on this was I made an explosion just by looking at these blueprints. So I made a radial explosion over here. Down here, this is one I custom made. And it just runs a blueprint system. So I just did an event. Right now I couldn't get it to run off a trigger box, so pretty much the cinematic runs off a trigger box. If anybody knows how to like code games or anything. I set an invisible trigger box on that one platform when you jump in it, and then I cast a camera and a director, and then I add a film strip and I add a keyframe for every time the camera moves. So then I run it for like 17 seconds, and then every 4 seconds I move the camera around and rotate it, and then I add another keyframe and it remembers that, and then I add a director to the trigger box to run. This explosion, since I made it myself, I cannot figure out how to get it to run off in the actual event world. I have its own blueprint. So this is what a blueprint is. Think of it as like Unreal gives you a bunch of functions, variables, you make your own, whatever you'd like, and then you can make your own blueprint system for this to run. So what I did here is first I made a sequence, and within the sequence is the radial force that I grab. So I grab a reference to what I made, which was I just go in and I make a blueprint, I add a reference point, I add a radial force to it. So you make the blueprint, you think, okay, what am I going to have happen here? So you want the fires, so I grab a reference, and the target is the radial force which I made, and I want to activate 2. and I want it to play a sound. So I do all this through a sequence, and I have the event begin play, and I set a delay to 104 seconds, because that's the only way to get it to explode during the cinematic, so I had to get there in time. That's not probably the correct way to do it, but you can change whatever else you'd like in there. I'll show a couple other things here too. So that's just one small blueprint. If we want to look at like the double jump over here, I go to my character blueprint here, and we have everything. We have the joystick input, mouse input, jump, my movement here, and then we have like this is for the projectile and physics actually. So if you look in here, you can see, okay, for when I fire on the mouse click right here, it plays the animation, and I get the animation instance, and this is the reference here. And you can see like you can see things here if you're new to your degree and everything, like functions you would write in code. And you can write all this too if you'd like. It gives you the full source code. But like up here, here's like double jump right here. I wrote this last night real quick. So I just make an instance for the action, and I have it for when it's pressed and when it's landed, and I just call a do in, which is how many times I want to jump, right? And this is where I set the reset and enter. And then over here you can see how many I added different variables. One is the jump here for the first time, and then the second variable is where I'm going to jump again. By set here in a vector how much higher I want to jump. So I can set this to like, I don't know, let's just try something ridiculous.
Z is the vertical?
Yeah. The one thing I found is buggy in this is sometimes I make geometry and I'm like, okay, I know what I'm doing. And then like, depending on the angle that you drop the geometry in, the vectors kind of change a little bit. So let's look at this real quick. So it should work.
Just out of curiosity, did you choose Z to be the vertical? Or
No, like some of the functions here they give you are like kind of buggy, so. Alright, let's
I think Z being the vertical axis is a standard. It
Yeah.
doesn't lie.
see, now I'm way higher.
make the thing blow up again. What is it?
Yeah, I can make it blow up again.
What is it like?
X and Z are.
And then another thing I did here too was all these particle effects. So I just went in, I grabbed a simple particle like this. I set the size of it to really big. Effects, particles, snow, materials. So I use the materials. Here we go. So right here you can see, this is probably going to really confuse everybody. It's not just one particle firing, it's actually multiple firings, and then I use different textures within it to run. So you can click on, like I just put this to run, and you can look within it. And this right here is actually where you build particles within the engine. And you can change like literally everything. If you want to bounce off physics, do you want to go through the physics? Do you want it how fast it's going to be, how big it's going to be? Do you want it to come out in different directions? So this is how I ended up doing the weather in here. And then I just added a weather cue, so I added in a weather sound, and it plays near when you're near the snow within a certain distance. So another real cool thing I did was the sun's actually moving right now, so but you can't tell. So we'll look at it real quick. So there's explosion. Here's sun. Let's look up here. That's not right. Let's get to sun.
Any idea how the snow works? Is it a simple texture, or do they have some kind of randomized particle motion?
Well, you use textures that you can build. So let's say a good example is let's say you make a bird in 3ds Max or like Blender, okay? And has anybody used these programs before?
I've used Blender myself.
Yeah, so in the programs you can rig things to move. So let's say you build a bird, it's not going to be a static mesh or anything. You can make it movable and move the arms and everything. So let's say it's a little bit rigged in there, and you bring in the asset into Unreal Engine, and you start it just like I do with the Radio Force. You make a new blueprint, and you name it, then you add in the asset you have, and then you're going to add in like what you want to do. So what you do is you add in another asset with it, and you can get the wings to move, or whatever you like, through the different frames thing. So then you have that now, so you're saying, okay, how do I want it to fly around? So then you go in and you use that asset or textures of it, and then you can change the direction of where they're going to move. So you can, it's a big bit of a layering effect. I wasn't going to try to show the whole thing right now because it takes a long time, and I'm not very good at it, so let me see if I can find this sun thing I wrote real quick. Should have been in here. Here we go. So here I thought, okay, how do I get the sun to rotate? The whole world is actually built in a sphere, and then in the middle of it is where I set all my geometry and everything. But the one cool thing about Unreal is it does dynamic lighting, and it kind of does the shadows for you, but you can put directional light wherever you like. So I thought, how could I get the sun to rotate around the sphere of the world? And I needed to fire every second of the game running. So what I did was I went in here in the actual game event blueprint, and I just have an event tick. So like I was saying, the sun or every frame, right? And then I have here, I made my own variables over here, which some of them are floats. So I made a sun speed float variable, and then I reference it here. And then I have this right here, which takes two floats and it multiplies it. And then I call the make rotation, which is going to take the output of this. And then I grab with a function the actor location, local rotation, which is going to be the target of the sun. And then I have the output of the make rotation, delta rotation of that. And then I just update it right here, which is it within the sphere. So we have the sun and the sphere, and then the local reference of it right here. So let's go in here, and let's change sun speed so everybody can see it real quick. So right now it's at like 0.05. We'll do like 30 so everybody can check it out. We'll compile it. And we'll go back. I'm just going to come over here.
So that event tick happens every time.
Yeah, now you can see the sun. So right now it's firing way fast. The sun's going to come up on the other side of the world, and it's going to change all the shadows.
Nice.
So I can even just set a static variable, and I want it to be nighttime. But I didn't really want to do. I thought it'd be cool to have something like really dynamic in there. The game looks way better than this too. I mean, it looks still pretty good, but I just have way too many particles going at one time here. So, but that's one way I did it. Another thing too is I did an atmospheric fog. So it looks a little overcast, you know. I just took an atmospheric fog in here, and you can set it wherever you want in the game. And well, we'll just there we go. I just set in here, and you can change all the variables you want to. I mean, you can go. Let's just make it normal. Up, now it's sunny out, so I got rid of it all. So that's another way to change your game and everything, and that's just more of a static variable. And then I have the rotation of the sun moving behind it, or actually in front of it. If you watch, the sun will move in front of the clouds here. Another thing everybody's been wanting to ask is how I made platforms move. So what I did was I grabbed, we can just make one. Let's just make one. So let's do, you can take a geometry and make one or whatever, but for just doing it real quick, let's grab a mesh or something, or some architecture. Let's grab this platform here, okay? Let's move it up. Let's move it over here to the right. Let's put it a little bit closer down. We can change the rotation here if you'd like, whatever you guys like. And then you can change how big it is this way too. So let's just make it good platforms. Okay. So So what we're going to do is it's the same thing as I do cutscenes. I kind of did it with everything because it was a lot more simple. I take a matinee. We're going to do add a new matinee. Here we go. Usually everybody's first time in here is like, what the hell do I do? So you're going to have to look a little bit up. But what we're going to do is we're going to click down here. We're going to add a new empty group. And you're going to name it whatever, SoDA class. And then in here, we're gonna want to add the actor that we're using. So let's grab this. Let's grab the actor or the pawn. You can even grab like the player pawn. Let's add in selected actors. You can even add in a bunch of groups. Oh, other thing. It's static right now. You need to set to movable. Okay. So now it's going. And then if we wanted to move, we need to make a movement track here. And they have all different ones. Animation tracks, which requires an asset rigging. I mean, you can do sound cues. You can do whatever you like. What's his name in here? Oh, never mind. I figured out how to do the gravity. Yeah. I figured out how to do gravity within your player pawn, and I figured out how to do gravity within the world. So I can make the player move normal, but I can do the world physics where everything has zero gravity, so when you shoot something, it goes flying forever out there. So anyways, we're going to do a movement track, and we're going to want this a lot bigger than this, so let's just do like 10 seconds. Or whatever seconds it's fine. Alright. And right here's the starting key of when I grabbed it. Hopefully that wasn't the camcorder.
No.
And what we're going to do is we're just going to, here I'll put this to the side here. And we're just going to move it. We're going to move it this way, up here, way up. Like this. And then we're going to add a keyframe. We're going to move this to like 5 seconds. So now you can actually see right here where the platform is going to move. And then it's already set to curve auto, but you can do whatever you'd like. You can do curve auto, you can do a linear line, you can make it move in the perfect direction, all smooth, like make it look really nice if you'd like. I just set the curve auto, it kind of does its own thing. So we got it here at 5 seconds, we can even play it. It moves. So since it's stuck up there, what I usually do is, okay, we need 10 seconds now. Grab this. And then we're going to copy and paste this keyframe. And then we're going to hold Control, click, and pull all the way to 10. And let's see if this loops right. Oops. Let's see if this looks right. So we're trying to grab the key location of the first frame. So it's actually going to go back there. It might glitch here for a second. Yeah, it glitched a little bit. So I wasn't exactly on with my snap and the keyframe. That's kind of how I did the platforms everywhere. All I did was make a huge floor here, and I added in a water texture. And then I went in, and then for it to not have any, grab it here. So this right here, if I can grab it, I don't know why I can't grab it. That's weird. I just changed the volume of it so physics could fall through it too. Because if you look at the explosion, before it was just like laying on top of the water and looked really stupid. So I changed that. But that's about everything I did. I made all the particle effects myself with the help of like Unreal documentation and stuff. So like this, and I just put a little asset as a wall hanger there to hold it, so it looks kind of cool. And I added a different texture here to make it all about it. This took me about 20 to 30 hours. It seems simple, but if it's your first time really messing with it, it's pretty hard, to be honest. There's a lot of bugs in it since it's so new. There's no documentation or anything really on it. You can't go buy a book or anything. The thing I'm going to do next is I'm just going to make one. Has anybody ever played Counter-Strike back in the heyday? Did anybody ever play those rooms where there was no killing anybody? It was just one huge world and it had a timer and you had to get to like the top of wherever. And they had jumps and you had to crouch jump and use grenades to jump. And has anybody ever played one of these rooms? So when I was a kid, this was like something that I got way into. They had like Jack and the Beanstalk, and it was like miles high, and you had to climb up it and everything, and they had all kinds of stuff like that. So I thought, right now, since it's like one of my first times working at this, I thought I'm going to try to make something like that. So I'm going to try to do like an inventory system for when you grab certain objects, your double jump will be enabled. All I really have to do is add some kind of get function in there to check whether it is in the inventory. And I'm going to try to do just one big platformer world and leave it like that, and then trying to find somebody that can do 3D modeling and assets, because pretty much as a concept, you just leave buildings all blocky like this until somebody does that. So. But that's about it. I mean, I can't think of what else I worked on. Does anybody have any questions? The same thing I did with these is I just ran them on a matinee, and then I did the rotations 2 separate ways, and they're running off the same matinee. Same with the cutscene over here. Or I could show you another thing too, like a real way to make a simple destructible physics mesh is you already have a mesh that you make, right? So let's go in here, let's look at mesh, and I thought, okay, well, let's make it a destructible one. I probably don't want to do that. And I come in here, and then I can set the fracture mesh, everything in here, how big it goes, and then the world automatically just takes it. So every one of these pieces right here are actually one of the meshes I made. And then on the other side here, right here, there should be an explosion. Which is right here hidden. And then within that is where I put the radial force. So anything that I make in the world, geometry-wise, and I add physics to it, will react to any kind of radial force or any kind of physics that you put in it. So that's how I did that. And I just added a little fire effect, but you can't even see it because it's so small. So does anybody have any questions now or anything?
The explosion effect, could you do that not in the cutscene, like in the world?
It's not even in a cutscene, actually. Here, I'll show you. The only reason I tried to get it in the cutscene because I thought it looked badass, but I cannot figure out how to get it to run during a trigger box because it's its own blueprint within. One thing I can't figure out is you have a level blueprint here, which was showed like the sun and everything. I'm having trouble grabbing another blueprint and doing blueprints within blueprints, so I haven't figured that out. But yeah, I could make it do it right now if you want. You can just go to explosion. Let's set the delay to whatever.
Did you make all the water? Or is that...
Yeah, it's just a texture actually. It's real simple. So you grab like a texture water, or you can grab one flat texture, and then you can model it to move, and then you just say it's a texture. This one right here is just an asset I got because I think it looks better, and it's not going to kill my computer while it's running. So let's grab this. Okay, we're still running, that's fine. And let's set this to 5. Compile it. And then I can turn around and simulate the explosion. It should go off. Yeah, it's laggy really bad. And I set the explosion to one really big radial force. I was going to try to do multiple small ones here, but I didn't have time. We had an exam today at 2:30, so my girlfriend already thinks that I was obsessed with Unreal Engine and messing around with it all the time. So You can do whatever you want. I mean, this was all zero plugins, zero anything. This is what you get when you buy it, and then you can buy it for 20 bucks and then not pay the monthly fee, even though they do an update every month. They're pretty big updates. This is just some of the more basic things you can do with it. I haven't even tried to like do any AI and everything, but I've seen some tutorials on it. But I don't think I'm going to try to attempt that during finals or things.
So what's it you're buying? What's the IDE?
What do we buy?
Is it the IDE then?
When you buy the full source code, you buy the engine and everything. What's up?
Was it the source code already released?
You can't have the source code for it was for Unreal Engine 3. So this is brand new. I actually, when Alan and I went to GDC, we got to see a private demo of all this. And they were showing like a butterfly and its AI through a blueprint system that it would run, and it would, at certain random integers, it would do like a random number generator. It would call in a function, and it would have different things the butterfly would do. So it would land on a tree when it landed on a certain number. And then they programmed a whole AI for a butterfly flying around the room. And they said you could do it for anything really. So there's a lot of other things too. I showed some people here the other day. It's say you don't know how to do all this. They give you all the content with it. So I can go in and look at a third-person example, and I could pretty much grab the code from it and try to implement it in my own game. Or I could even grab a blueprint and then export it to it. The other thing that's real cool too is you can just package the game right here to whatever you want. And I did this for my buddies, and it's real small. It's actually not big because this light maps file right here is like almost 3 gigs. My package is like 500 megabytes. So you can package it and send it to your friends, and it's just like that. You don't need to worry about like if they have something compatible or that. They seem to have a pretty good computer. So. But it's nice. I've worked in Unity and everything, and the lighting in this is way better, and the physics are way better. The only thing I think that another engine has on it is CryEngine's cheaper, and CryEngine comes with some really nice environmental assets with trees and stuff like that. I did all this, and I still haven't even figured out. This sounds so stupid. I still haven't even figured out how to use the paintbrush in this. It's kind of sad. I was trying to paint this SoDA colors, and I'm like, dude, I figured all this out, but I can't figure out how to use the paintbrush. That's really sad. But yeah.
I have the same problem.
With what?
Blender.
Yeah, Blender.
Yeah.
I haven't used Blender really. I think I'm gonna, if I can't find anybody to do 3D modeling or anything, I think I'm gonna try to do it myself. But
I have some books.
yeah.
Just a thought, maybe it requires a special kind of layer or object
Yeah.
to paint on.
Yeah, I thought, okay, maybe it's because it's mesh, but it wasn't
Yeah.
working either on certain stuff. So then you can import your own height maps too. You can do whatever you really want. We were talking about doing different gravity and stuff. I found somebody online that was saying when you walk up to a wall, he was doing it with a key press, gravity switched and you went on the wall and all gravity turned. The world, you rotate the whole world, like we were talking about after class. I mean, you can really do whatever you want. It's just up to you, and it's up to you if you can go into the blueprint system and really figure it out. They pretty much put every kind of function, every kind of thing you could think of. I was in here looking in the blueprints, and they have a teleport function that they added, like Portal, and you can just call on the teleport and then save a checkpoint and then run it for when you walk through a particle or whatever trigger box, and then it'll use the actual teleport function that's already made, so you wouldn't even have to code it. But there's a lot of people on the forums already that have taken their source code and modified it so much. I'm not very experienced with that, so I thought I'd just show the more basic things that you can do and show it's not so intimidating. It's actually pretty simple. Before I made the platforms, I was getting their point in the world where they were at, and I was starting an event timer and then all this stuff. And I didn't even know you could use the matinee and just move it around like that. So that's what I showed last time, is I did something like this. Right here, this is one, I put a trigger box, and I made one humongous trigger box, so I wanted the platform to move at all times. And I set a timeline, and then we just add 2 vectors, 2 variables, and I set the vector location and everything. So that's about it. If anybody wants to do 3D modeling assets for me, that would be very well done. So. Does anybody else have any questions?
Dug into the layer specification at all?
Which one? was when I went here to like my character, I was just messing with a lot of this stuff in here. Let's look at components. This isn't the right spot actually. I can't remember how to get there, dude. They have the scripts of it, they have the actual source code, and then you can mess with the settings within it. I can't remember exactly where the settings are, which was all different gravities for your player pawn, physics effect, everything. Yeah, so I was saying.
Change orientation of player.
Yeah, so there's 3 different sets of gravity in here. There's actual object or pawn gravity, there's the player gravity, and then there's world gravity too that you can mess with. So as I was saying a little bit ago, I was trying to figure out if I could make gravity rotate. I haven't figured out on time, but somebody on Unreal Forums is doing what we were
It didn't
talking
have
about.
to do any extensive modifications.
What he was doing it was with a key trigger. So he's just set a keyframe when you hit G and you're near a wall. It would grab the wall, rotate the whole world, and shift gravity.
But it doesn't rotate like the whole world. So single player wise, what about multiplayer? Would you be able to have?
Oh, I have no. I know you could.
directions or
I bet you
world
could, but I have no
rotating?
idea how to do it.
Right.
Yeah. They even Unreal just released a whole thing on how to set up networking in like a multiplayer game, and they give you like a whole entire like tutorial on it to get it going. But it's pretty cool. It's pretty simple. And then if you wanted to take it to the next level, you can do all kinds of cinematic reels and rigs if that's your thing for your portfolio. I was looking at some people who've been working on this since it got released at GDC, and they made some spectacular worlds, and they just ran a film reel on that. He was saying that this is what he's been using on his portfolio now. He just used the engine for 20, 30 days, so, and it looks pretty good. Some games that was made in the Unreal Engine. Well, the only game that's been made in Unreal 4 is Daylight, which comes out, it's like a horror game, but all the Gears of War were made in it. Portal was made in it. What else? Just a lot of stuff, actually. Portal was made by Valve, but they use Unreal Engine. So. Yeah, we got to meet everybody at Epic when we were at GDC, and got to. He showed off a lot of the stuff there, dude. Who made what?
Was Elder Scrolls made in Unreal?
I think that was their own
That's
in-house
Bethesda's
engine,
in-house.
actually. What?
That's Bethesda's in-house engine.
Yeah, their own in-house engine. Another engine that I think is crazy and I think blows away Unreal is the new, I forgot what's made by, not Squaresoft, Square Enix. They have a new engine that is pretty incredible, but it's not released to the public. So.
The
It's-
X1 or something, Snowflake or Snow Slush.
No, that's the Battlefield, EA one. The other one though was they do individual particle effects for every hair on the body and everything. If you look at anything on Final Fantasy or games like that, you'll see a trailer of the new engine that came out that's running in real time. But that's it. Thanks for joining. Cory. Just kidding. I'll show you later.
I really shocked.